Good evening all, welcome to another TRSB Sports podcast with myself, Shane B. Pleasure to have on this evening a professional boxer by the name of Paul Roberts. Before we get into the interview, all the new viewers that are out there, if you like what you see, obviously hit the subscribe button. Like I say, if you like what you see, share it. That's what I'm saying to everyone, all the new viewers. But Paul, nice to have you on board. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me on, and doing well. Done me training tonight, and looking forward to a good interview.
Brilliant. So obviously, while we've got you on here, because you've got a massive fight coming up on the 12th of March, York Hall, Bethnal Green, with Jack Hughes for the Southern Area Super Flyweight title. Obviously, we'll get into that and discuss that a little bit later. But really, for our viewers. For the people that don't know Paul Roberts, we're looking maybe that if you can give a little bit of an insight into yourself, where you're based, how you got into boxing, and your journey so far, mate.
Yeah, no, of course. So I'm based down in Somerset now. Originally, I was born in Watford and sort of stayed around like the Boreham Wood sort of way, But yeah, lived down sort of southwest for most of my life. So yeah, and just I remember we so my dad is a publican, and we used to have a pub in Frimley Green when I was a very young lad, and we in the Skittle Alley there we used to have like a little boxing gym which a few sort of blokes from there used to go in, and that's sort of where my old man was doing it, and that's how I got into it, really, just seeing him do it there,
So obviously, with all that's gone on, you turned pro. How did that work out? What was the sort of like the route into turning pro from going from the boxing in the gyms and then suddenly deciding, right, let's do it. How does that all pan out? How does that go?
Well, like amateur, I didn't really achieve sort of what I wanted to. What I think I had about 60 amateur fights in the end. I got to what the NABCs or what they call the CYPs, is it? I think they're called now. I got to the final of that once. Which I thought a good lad who's just turned professional now, obviously a lot heavier than me now, called Luke McCormick. Obviously didn't get the win there. And then got in the quarterfinals, semi-finals of the ABAs a few times, but never quite achieved sort of what I wanted to, And then at 18 years old, I had a daughter. And I sort of had a year out then when my daughter was born, and then sort of come back to amateur after that. Had, I think, a few fights and just thought, you know what, why not give it a go professional and see if I can. I didn't achieve what I wanted to in amateur, so now try and achieve what I want to in professional, give it a go on another route.
Yeah, so I suppose with that amateur background that you've got, obviously like 60 amateur fights in itself, obviously, do you mean, like you said, you might not have achieved what you wanted to do during that process, but in itself, it's a process. If you're having like 60 bouts, you're probably coming across all different styles of fighter. So no doubt when you have that knowledge, or you take that on board, you feel that sort of giving you any benefits as going into pros? I know the amateur fights are more points, and quicker fights, shorter rounds, but were the things that you felt that put you in good stead for where you're going?
Oh yeah, of course. It's certainly give me a good foundation to the professional game. It's not so that it's obviously, I suppose, nervous energy is a thing. When you've got that experience of getting in the ring more times than not, it takes away that sort of nervous energy loss, I suppose. You've been there, you've done it. It's just another time to go in the ring. You just don't think of it as I'm going in the ring for a fight now. It's just that it's another day. So I suppose that's one thing you really do take out of it just that experience of getting in the ring, fighting competitively.
Yeah, I suppose that, like I say, it's almost primed you for sort of like to the stage where you're now. Do you mean like, so going into a gym, like you say, for yourself, going into a ring, it's just another day in the office for you now. So that's got to help with some of that kind of pre-fight nerves and just to be able to sort of like put positive energy into what you're thinking about fight wise. At the minute, obviously, we spoke earlier, and you mentioned, obviously, you was off to the gym and everything, but that you've been working. So, like, for yourself, it's not about, you don't have the luxury, do you, of like being right. I'm just focusing on the boxing. This is all I'm doing from morning to night. For someone like yourself, it's a different ball game, isn't it? To like what the boxers that are in the lights, so like your AJs, your Furies, your big professionals. It's a different ball game for yourself. How do you cope with like you must be doing like 9-hour shifts, doing the work. How does that all sort of like go with you? How do you even manage it, to be honest?
Yeah, it's just become part of my lifestyle now. Yeah, I've just sort of, a lot of people do say that to me. They say, "God, I don't know how you do it." And so, I go to work from 8 till usually 4:30, 5 in the building trade. So yeah, not an easy trade in itself, on your body as such, but it's something I've just learned to deal with. And 3 times a week I'm out before work, either swimming or running, and then always, as soon as I get back home, park the van up on the drive, walk down the gym. I'm quite lucky that the gym's only a mile away, so gone green a little bit and just walk down there, and yeah, do me a few hours down the gym, walk back and have me dinner, and it's just become part of my life, and that's that. Obviously, it would be great to one day get to a stage where I get that little bit of extra money out of boxing, where I could think, because I'm self-employed in the building, I could sort of say to myself, right, I'm actually going to I've got the money in the bank to have, a 6-week training camp completely without work. That would be a dream sort of come true one day, to be able to do that, and just to see what I can achieve with that sort of going ahead,
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it proves of like people like yourself, like up and coming fighters, people that are just coming into the game, how much sort of like dedication, motivation, determination that you've got to have just to be able to get up in the morning, go do the work, go and do the gym, go and do the sparring, go and do the swimming, do the running.
Yeah,
you got all of that to do. But then I suppose the other thing that a lot of people don't realise is, obviously, with the small hall fights, up and coming boxers like yourself, it's just as much about tickets, selling your tickets, promoting your fights.
Yeah.
So not only have you having to do everything that we've already discussed, you've got the pressure of the tickets and getting the tickets sold. Again, with that, how have you found that? How have you sort of coped with that? What is it you have to do to try and get those tickets, get the bums and seats to be able to actually get the shows?
Yeah, apart from my last fight, I've actually done really well. Sort of my last fight coming off of obviously COVID and whatnot, people haven't been around out for say a few years, and obviously I'm based down in the southwest, and my last fight was up at the York Hall, obviously where the Southern area title was going to be. But trying to get sort of friends and family and sort of people that I know and fans of me sort of round local to travel sort of 4 hours up the road and back on the same night to watch 12 minutes of boxing is a hard task, and I'm lucky, unfortunate, I do have really quite a big following down here, but it's not a cheap night out, is it, really, when it comes to going from Somerset to London and back in a night and what. So that was I only done about sort of 50, 60 tickets on that one, which did cost me a bit of money in the end. But other than that, I've done really well. Even when I had fought up in London and shows down here, I can do some good tickets, like, you know. So yeah, not too bad. I'm not going to grumble, but yeah, could always be better at the end of the day.
I'll tell you what, getting even if it's only 50 people coming down from Somerset, you know, those people from the southwest, they probably sound like 250 people when they get down to your pool. So yeah, nothing wrong with having that lot come down to back you up.
Yeah, yeah.
But with, like,
do you know, it was a real. Oh, sorry.
Go on.
It was proper on the mark as well. They on my last fight, they hit traffic, and it took them 7 hours to get up there. And they literally walked through the door just as my first bell, because I'd got a coach to go up, and they was all on the coach. It took them 7 hours, and they just walked through the door, yeah, as my first bell went off. So it was, yeah, that's another thing as well. But it is what it is, isn't it? And I'm just grateful that they come up and watch me, like, you know.
Yeah. So, like I said, you mentioned the COVID situation. Obviously, again, like, yeah, young fighter. Do you mean trying to make a way, trying to get sort of like progress up through the rankings, get the fights, get the wins, just navigate your way to where you want to go. When that sort of the COVID lark come out, and obviously it sort of fit everyone, how did that affect yourself? How did that affect the boxing, the training? Do you mean did things get put on the back burner, or was you able to still progress a bit? Or
do you know, I was quite fortunate that training wise I didn't really stop. What hit me the worst was the fact that I couldn't work in the building trade. At the time I was subcontracting, and I ended up having to have 12 weeks off of work just because of and being self-employed, that was quite costly. But the only good thing is, because I was off of work, I know they, you know, at the time they said, oh, you're only allowed out for an hour of the day and blah, 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 blah. But I suppose I broke those rules a little bit, and I was out sort of running and doing bits and bobs like that, because that's all I could do. I was driving myself insane indoors. So I was out running, and again, I was quite fortunate that I've got a key to our boxing club, so I managed to get down there by myself and go down there, like, you know. So obviously I don't think it's quite, at the time I don't think it was very you know, in the sense that it was meant to be done, but I carried on, and I was quite fortunate in that way, really.
Yeah. Did you have any fights in that period, or did all the fights sort of tail off as well? Was it just a case of work, not having to work, and just keeping yourself occupied with the gym?
Yeah, that's literally all it was. There was no, like, this was right at the start of lockdown. Obviously everything completely stopped, didn't it? Even professional football or all professional boxing, there was no shows or nothing. And then when the shows did sort of start to come on, when it was just like the television shows and the no spectators and stuff, I did get a few offers, but sort of nothing that was sort of at the right time for me, really. It just nothing that was going to put me a step ahead as such. So yeah, I did get a few offers, but nothing that was worthwhile taking in sort of mine and my manager and my coach's eyes. So yeah, really, boxing stopped for, you know, a good nearly 2 years, really, I suppose, year and a half.
Yeah. And do you think that kind of put like do you think that kind of like slowed the progression down a bit? Is it a little bit like, obviously, riding a bike, you know how to do it? Was it a case of like just getting back into the groove and sort of like, because obviously going to the gym by yourself and boxing, punching the bags, everything like that's one thing. You might be able to get a bit of coaching at the time, but did it feel like it took a little bit of time just to get back into the routine, back into like, right, I'm sort of like, I'm fighting ready, rather than sort of like I'm gym ready? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see exactly what you mean. Yeah, in a way it sort of was, because it almost, where I was doing it for the sake of doing it because there was nothing else to do, and then when you do it for sort of something, you have to get that out of your head that this isn't just a routine now. This is something that you're doing ready, like you say, ready for a fight. So I had to sort of change my mindset a little bit, to get ready for the fight. But yeah,
that's fair enough. So I suppose what we're here for is really is to talk about the fight, and like the upcoming fight for yourself. That's a massive fight, isn't it? It is the 12th of March with Jack Hughes for that, as we said, that's super flyweight Southern area title. The fight in itself, was it something that you had expected was coming along, or was it like a bit of a bolt out of the blue? And how excited was you when you got the news?
Yeah, so it was sort of half expected. My manager sort of said to me, you know, this is what we're looking towards, because it was actually, so it's my promoter is the same promoter as Ricky Little, which I'm sure you would have heard his name before. So so I think it was looking that if Jack and Ricky had fought, it looked like my manager was going to get me onto the winner of that,
right?
You know, but it sort of come around quicker than expected, because obviously Ricky had to vacate the title because he didn't sort of defend it for so long, in which then now me and Jack get the chance to go for the vacant title, like, you know. So it did come round. I sort of thought it was in the pipeline, but it did come round a bit sooner than I wanted, which I'm, you know, really grateful for. And it's just a massive stepping stone to where I want to get to. So yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, I think Jack might have had the ump over that situation with Ricky Little. I think there was a little bit of beef between the two of them, and I think Jack was really looking forward to sort of like having that fight with him. I know he's quite disappointed that it never worked out. But that's boxing, I suppose, for you at the end of the day. One door closes for one person, opens up another door for another one, like yourself.
Exactly that. Yeah, I have no idea on the situation. It's not my sort of thing to get involved, but I'm just happy that my manager has now managed to get me in on this, and obviously thankful to Jack and his manager as well for putting sort of getting my name on it, and yeah, just looking forward to a good fight that hopefully you know, a win's going to come my way.
Yeah, to be honest, I fancy it. I fancy it's going to pan out to be quite a tear up between the two of you. It's funny. I did a podcast when I was in Torrevieja in Spain with my partner in crime, Tom Rust. You've obviously spoken to him a couple of times on the phone.
Yes, yeah.
And we had a trainer called Alex Leo from Hodderson Boxing Academy, and we had him on the show one time. I think his dad's quite a well-known trainer as well. And I remember him saying something along the lines of like, do you know records? He says, "Oh, people bang on about, I've got a 10-0, I've got a 7-0, I've got this." And he turned around and said, "My old man, what he said to me was, records are for DJs." And part of it, I thought, Jim, it's quite true, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like a record is basically showing what you've done today. It doesn't predict what your future is going to be.
Not at all.
The both of you, you and Jack, you've both tasted victories. You've both also tasted defeat. So you know what it's like to have your hand raised, and you know what that euphoria is. You also know what the disappointment of defeat is like as well. And what I'm wondering is what is it that you think you have that makes you believe that on the 12th of March, that fight with Jack Hughes, you'll be the one that comes out the winner? What's the belief in you? What do you think you've got going for you, Paul?
Do you know, I feel like the years of training, building up, you know, the foundations in my boxing, and the ring craft, the experience of who I fought and who I've been in the ring against, the places I've been in the ring. I've been on the big stage. I've been fought in the Echo Arena and the quarterfinals of ABAs with thousands of people in there. Obviously, up at the York Hall a few times. I was fortunate that my debut was at the York Hall on a packed show as well, which was, you know, a great feeling. Just, I think I've been in there on some big moments, and obviously you know, Jack has as well. Jack's already fought for this title before as well, but you know, I believe in my own ability. I believe that instinct and my just boxing knowledge will get me through on the night, basically. And just, I know that I can adapt to any style because I've been against it all. So, you know, whatever comes at me on March the 12th, I believe I can adapt to win that fight. So
yeah, it's definitely one that I say me and Tom looking forward to, like the both of us hoping that we can sort of like make it up there to actually get there and see it sort of like firsthand, and hopefully have a word with the both of you come the end of the evening. It's a pleasure really just to have someone like yourself on the show, somebody who's quite honest. It means someone who's out there doing the work, doing the graft, who's got the dedication, got the motivation, and who's just willing to turn up and put it on the line. I don't think a lot of people realise what it takes to actually go out, do a job, do the work, do the graft, do the boxing. Yeah. It's the hard thing to do. So, I mean, we hold our hands up to anyone who comes on the show that has to go through that sort of daily routine just to reach their goals and their aspirations. So, like, it's a definite credit to you, Jack, as well. Do you mean the both of you?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Where the both of you've been on, really, it's just got to be more a case of like, may the best man win, really, on the night.
Yeah, on the night, absolutely, yeah. We're both in there looking to win the fight, and that's what boxing's all about. Obviously, you know, you get these big fighters which are against, you know, journeymen their whole time, in which sometimes they're getting in there and it sometimes it can look like a sparring session, can't they? But when there's a title on the line, you're in there, it's a complete 50-50, and it will be a great fight, I do believe.
Yeah, so let's say you come out winner, you're the one that the ref holds your hand up at the end of the evening, at the end of the fight. What do you think the next step is for you then, Paul? How does that work? Do you mean, what does it open up for you?
Yeah, do you know, I would not have a clue. I would not have a clue. I don't know whether I would have to, I don't know if I'd have to rematch Jack afterwards. I'm sure I probably would if it was a close fight, or I don't know if maybe something else would come along. I know, because obviously I do keep an eye on the division and stuff. There's also a fighter from up in Liverpool called Marcel Braithwaite, who's facing a chap called, I believe, Scott Allen from Scotland. They're fighting for the WBC silver title, I believe, in WBC international silver title. So I don't know if, you know, you never know, something might come of that I might fight a winner of that, or I have no idea. I'm just saying that as a possibility. Obviously, usually titles lead to more titles, don't they? Lead to opportunities for another one. So yeah, that's the plan, really, is to win this one, and then hope that, you know, the ambition of fighting and winning a British title is where I want to sort of get to. But any title for me at the minute is my big stepping stone to get into that, like, you know.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say, yeah, definitely it is a stepping stone to hopefully greater things. I think what they say a lot of the time is it's hard winning something, it's hard getting that title, it then becomes harder holding on to that title and then sort of progressing.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I say, with the motivation and dedication that you've already shown, you've definitely got aspirations to get places. So, I mean, definitely the best of luck and everything going forward. What we normally do with the fighters that come on there, normally if we've got a couple of fights come up, big fights come up, we always ask you for your sort of predictions, what you fancy is going to go on. So with news that's recently sort of broke, where Fury, I think, is finally going to give Dillian White the opportunity to have a go. What's your?
That's right. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. What's your predictions on that one? And how do you? More case, what's your predictions? But how do you think it will unfold?
Do you know it? Again, it's sort of set out to be a cracking fight, isn't it? Dillian White has just got an absolute heart of a Trojan, and he's just in there, and he just a proper hard man. I've had, been fortunate to meet him, and obviously a little flyweight like me up next to someone like him, he's a big chap, but I think Fury is even bigger than Dillian himself. So it'll just be a hell of a battle. I think Fury's boxing skills is obviously second to none, but if Dillian's fit and is on a come forward all the time, I think he could give Fury a hard time. But I think Fury's boxing knowledge could sort of get him through that, really, and I'd see Fury winning.
Yeah, I think popular opinion is probably is Fury to take the fight. But like you said, I think if you get like a prime, fit, fully motivated Dillian White, you got to think, how long is he waiting to get this fight? So I don't think he's going to take the training lightly. So if he goes in there and he's maximum peak Dillian White at the top of his game, I think it could be a 50-50. So I'm going to stand the fence for that one. And then the last one is just the rematch, AJ and Usyk. Again, I'm going to ask you for your prediction and how you think it unfolds.
Obviously AJ being Watford man himself, I want him to win. So I just really would love him to win. I remember I was over in Tenerife when I was watching him on his last one. Got a little front row seat on a telly, so usually I'm there watching him, but yeah, he obviously, a lot of people have said he didn't go into that last fight with the right game plan and things like that, which you could argue that he didn't. But you think Usyk, with his boxing skills, AJ didn't look stupid in there, did he? It goes to show how good of a boxer he actually is as well. He was just beat by the better boxer on the night. But yes, I do think he has to go for it a little bit more and use that, the bigness of him and sort of go forward and use his weight advantage against Usyk to come off with a win this time. I'd love to see him win it, but it is, again, a really tough fight, isn't it? But one that's always going to be good to watch.
Yeah, I think with that one, I think, again, like what you said, I think that fight, I think he's gone into the fight and he's tried to, in a way, outbox the boxer. And I think if you're going to go with Usyk and you're going to go the distance, Usyk 10 out of 9 times he's going to get that points win. I think this time, I think AJ does go in there. I think potentially how I see it is, I think he goes in. I think he probably hits him quite hard early doors, which I don't think he didn't unload in that first one. I fancy he unloads a bit earlier in this one. Usyk feels it, and I'm going to put it out there that AJ wins it by round 7. That's my prediction on that one.
Yeah, no, I'd go with that as well. Definitely in the later rounds. Well, mid to late, so I would say, because he's going to have to wear him down, because Usyk, he's so fit, isn't he? He's just so fit, and he will just keep coming all the time. But he's just got to use his weight weight advantage and strength and stuff to wear him down in the later rounds and hope that he catches him with a big shot.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed AJ is the one that lands that
Yeah,
and gets him out there
absolutely.
early doors if possible.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Well, I was going to say, well, to be honest, like I say, it's a pleasure having you on here this evening.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
No worries. I was going to say, before we wrap it up, obviously, just to remind everyone, we are talking about a massive fight on the 12th of March. We are talking about the Southern Area title fight between yourself and we're talking Jack Hughes. In relation to people being able to get tickets for this fight, how do they go about it, Paul?
So yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and whatnot. A message, just search Paul Roberts, and yeah, just got a photo of me on there somewhere. So anyone who wants to come, yeah, drop me a message and I can source tickets. And I've also, got a coach full of people coming up from Somerset again, but also have some friends up in London who will be going to watch as well. So yeah, it's going to be a good crowd. But if anyone wants, any viewers, want to come along, contact me or obviously contact Jack as well. He'll have tickets on board. So then yeah, come and watch a great night's boxing.
Yeah, so basically look for yourself, DM yourself on Insta, or DM Jack and you can arrange the tickets for him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Lovely. Well, Paul, just want to say, real pleasure to have you on board tonight. It's nice to have you on here. We look forward to having you on in the future. I do believe you might be actually on the show quite soon again. I think you might even be having a discussion with Jack in the same room. Well, fortunately, you won't be in the same room, but
yeah,
it'd be nice to hear what those views are. So again, pleasure speaking to you, Paul. You have a nice night. I know you've been working hard. You probably get some sleep in.
Yeah, lovely job. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
You're welcome, mate. Cheers. Bye.